Welcome to Shmu's Views Toward Observant Judaism. I am your host, Shmuel ben Shlomi. I want to welcome you. Over the next three videos, we're going to examine the life of one of the oldest historical post-flood, post-deluge characters that we know about, a man named Avram. And while he is the first in the Torah we know the most about, what we do know from biblical sources is really quite minuscule in comparison to what he has accomplished. And before we get into the the life and times of Avraham, I do want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, also hit that notification bell so you can know when new videos come out. Also, I want to invite you to join us on various social media platforms that we're on, such as Getter, Parler, Locals, and in fact, I encourage you to join and become a member of our Locals channel, Shabbat.com, Truth Social, Twitter, and Unified. All the links for those will be down below. And also, I encourage you to come by and visit our website, Shmu's Views Toward Observant Judaism. The link for that will also be down in this video's description. Okay, with all the plugs out of the way, let's get this show on the road. Born over 4,000 years ago in approximately 2100 BCE, before the Common Era, this man, Avram, who lived for a total of 175 years on planet Earth, fathered several groups of peoples, including the Arabs, the Jews, and a myriad of other ethnic groups still currently residing throughout the Middle and Near East, and yes, the entire world millennia after his death. Now that is quite a feat, and if that alone is all that he had contributed to humanity, it would be enough to guarantee him a place in the Hall of Records. But there is more to this man Avram than just the spreading of his seed throughout the globe. He is quite literally, the father of the entire concept of one God for over one half of the world's current population. Now, we are going to take a deep dive into the life of this man of antiquity, venture where few have gone in the past, blending together what is in biblical texts of the Torah, the Quran, the Sumerian cuneiform writings, and authors such as Bruce Feiler, James M. Freeman, the works of Zechariah Sitchin, and many, many more. It is my hope that we will gain a fuller and rounder understanding of Avram, the man singly responsible for beginning a process that would eventually move most of the Middle and Near East and Western world from polytheism to monotheism. Our first introduction to the man Avram, later to be renamed Avraham, as he will be so called throughout the rest of this three-part video, is almost as an afterthought. From the biblical text, which is the first mention of him in any public way, we come to know the name of his father as well as his two brothers, Genesis 11:26. Before that, nothing. After that, just bits and pieces in relation to the 175 years he lived. The next mention of him after his birth is as a grown man with a wife and no children. And then God calls him to leave his home, which was mentioned as Ur of the Chaldeans, located in the Persian Gulf area. That's it. Thankfully, with the finding of ancient Sumerian texts and their painstaking decipherment, we have learned a lot about Ur. For instance, the Mari tablets of King Zemlim, circa 4000 BCE, reveal that Ur was a powerful city-state in ancient Mesopotamia. That's the Greek name for that fertile area, what is known as the Fertile Crescent, situated between the Tigris and Euphrates River, located in modern-day Iraq. Ur was the center of worship for the Anunnaki god Nana by the Sumerians and named Sin by the Akkadians. This god's magnificent ziggurat, which is a pyramid-type structure with a flat surface at its top, was located in Ur. We also know from the Torah and Jewish tradition in the Midrash that Terah, the father of Avraham, was a worshiper of idols, those being the gods of the Anunnaki. Some traditions allude that Terah was a priest of Nanazin and served as a sort of high priest within the ziggurat at Ur. At the time of Abraham's life, there were two centers of Nanazin worship, one in Ur and the other to the northwest in the city of Haran. Likely, Haran was the original home base of Terah before moving to Ur sometime later in his life. Well, something happened to cause Terah, a priest of idols, to move from Ur back to Haran, taking his entire family, including Avraham and his wife Sarah, back to Haran, the other center of Nanazin's ziggurat service. Now, the Bible doesn't really bother to explain this shift in location directly. However, historically and from archaeological evidence deciphered from Sumerian and Akkadian cuneiform writings, we learn that about the time of Terah's moving his family to Haran, from the city of Ur, having weakened seriously from within, and it was under threat of attack by one of its neighboring city-states, as well as the Elamites from Persia, which is today's Iran. It made sense for the high priest of the Ur ziggurat to move from the primary place of worship to the secondary location, many, many miles from to the north in Haran. After some time in Haran, Terah succumbed to old age, and he died at 205 years, Genesis 11:32. It was at or near this time that God spoke to Avraham and told him to take his wife Sarah, his extended family, which included his nephew Lot, as well as all he had acquired in the way of wealth, and leave Haran and the entire Mesopotamian region completely, moving westerly until he would reach the land that God would show him. Avraham was nearly 75 years old at the time that he departed Haran, for a land that would one day come to be known as the land of Israel. Now, one of the first things that we need to understand and come to appreciate about this person called Avraham is that he was not a man situated somewhere out of time. He was deeply a man of his own time. He lived in an era and place nearly all of us, except for the most remote Arab nomads in the Middle and Near East today, would find completely strange and at odds with our modern 21st century ideas of mores, customs, and mannerisms. He would not fit into our digital, current, fast-paced nuclear society any more than we would in his of 4 millennia ago. As the famous songwriter Bob Dylan once equated, the times they are a-changin'. Well, they have certainly changed since the time that Avraham walked the face of the earth. However, as much as times and customs may have changed, human nature has changed very little, if at all. And that is why these stories of antiquity still grip us today. They speak to our souls, they speak to our spirits, and yes, even to our intellect. There is still much to be learned from the likes of Avraham. That being said, we must take a side now and look at some of the mores, customs, and traditions of Abraham's time to get a better understanding of him, his story, and why he made some of the decisions that he made. Now, one of the first things that might catch a, quote, modern person's eyes is the fact that Avraham was married to his half-sister. Her name was Sarai, later changed to Sarah. This custom was very acceptable among the ruling and priestly caste of the ancient Near and Middle East, as it was also in the Far East. As stated earlier, Terah was likely a high priest to the Anunnaki god Nanazin. He would have arranged his son's marriage to one of his daughters from one of his other wives or concubines. This was a very common practice among the wealthy and elite of ancient societies. It ensured a continuation of the royal and priestly bloodline, as well as ensuring transfer of property rights that would stay within the familial line. Sons and daughters did not arrange their own weddings. It was always done by the father, and in the case that the father was dead, then by the next male kin, usually an uncle. Well, Abraham's situation would have been no different. He was a product of his time. Abraham arranged the marriage of his son Isaac, And Isaac did the same for his son Jacob, albeit in a sort of offhanded way. This practice of arranged marriages still continues today within ultra-Orthodox Jewish and ultra-Orthodox Muslim communities. We also notice that Avraham never left his father in Ur, or Haran even. As the only living eldest son, he remained by his father's side until Terah's death in Haran. In those times, except under extreme circumstances, such as occurred with Jacob fearing for his life at the hand of his brother Esau, a son never abandoned his father's household after marrying and establishing his own. Even in Jacob's case, it was his father and mother both that encouraged Jacob to leave and go to Haran, find a wife among their kin, and then return once the ire of Esau was cooled. Therefore, Avraham, even though we learn from tradition and the Midrash, had himself come to abhor the idea of polytheism practiced by his father, he stayed with him until his normal passing into the afterlife. Then and only then did he, quote, go forth from his native land and from his father's house to the land that the one true God would show him, Genesis 12:1. So we have established the customs at the time to have fathers choose a son's mate and marry half-sisters if you are a member of a royal or priestly line within the Sumerian Anunnaki pantheon, which Avraham was, and the custom of never leaving one's father's household so long as the elder father remained alive, as Avraham did, according to the mores of his time. Just a side note. Now, it should be understood that this marriage practice mentioned above was blatant as well among the Egyptian kings and pharaohs throughout their many dynasties, including the Hyksos rules of Egypt at the time, Joseph, who was second only to the pharaoh in power. In our next video, we are going to continue with our investigation into this monumental character called Avraham. And that video will be titled Getting to Know You. What I'd like to encourage you to do, again, is tell your friends, your family, about our channel. Hit the like button, the subscribe button. And you'll notice at the end of this video, up in the upper right-hand corner, right up here, there will be a posting for the previous video or the next available video. And up here in the corner, you'll see the shofar being blown. That is the subscribe button for this channel. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble. Like I said, our videos are posted up on our website and the various social media sites, all listed below. Until next time then, shalom to you, and bye-bye.